Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 105 is out now, and it's crazy to say that because it feels like only yesterday I was talking about issue 104. But issue 105, once again, Melissa smashes it out of the park once again with another solid, fantastic issue. And the best way to describe this issue is it kind of feels like the closing act of one chapter as we learn some brand new information that is going to play a role in this current story arc moving forward. Because although the cover had Rita and Rita and Matt on there, they had absolutely nothing to do with this issue. It's just a really cool looking cover. And that's the thing with comic covers. They usually trick you with how cool they look, and I've fallen for it several times when talking about previews. But this issue was great because not only that did we get some really cool character interactions and some cool banter between some characters here and there, we got to see a brand new Zord combination between the Omega Blue Ranger Zord and some of the Thunder Zords. And I'm going to say, it looks pretty freaking cool, and we'll definitely talk about it in the review, so stay tuned for that. So, well, without any further ado, let's talk about it, let's recap, let's review, let's discuss Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 105. Let's go. So the issue opens up in kind of a small flashback where we see the Omega Rangers training, and we see our brand new yellow Omega Ranger, Kelvar. And I really love the relationship between these Omega Rangers because it's a nice little family they've got going on. But not only that, you kind of see the role that Trini and Zach have become as the Omega Rangers. And reading this issue, Trini sort of came off as the mother figure of the Omega Rangers, how she cares for the team and she's proud of everything they do. But not only that, we also see a relationship blossoming between Zach and Trini. Now, if you read Mighty Morphin Pink back in the day, you saw that these two characters were in a relationship, but in this issue, you can kind of see that relationship blossoming as the two characters have been through a lot. Now, one of my biggest, small nitpicks with Mighty Morphin Pink is how Zach and Trini dating kind of came out of nowhere. But if you've read Go from start to finish and you've been following the Power Ranger comics from start to finish, you can kind of understand where these two characters are and why they're dating now, or kind of sort of dating. It's not confirmed, it's not denied, but something's going on between the two of them, I will say that. But they did sort of raise Journey together and they kind of became this foster family, and now they're sort of falling for each other, you can see. And I do love the scene where Trini kind of blurts out where she dated Jason, and she says it was for a hot minute. And I kind of laughed at that line because it didn't feel like a minute. It was a couple of issues, and I think that was over the span over a couple of weeks. But not only that, she mentions that they made out on the alien planet, but before she can answer that, they're kind of interrupted by 11 as they're tracking the signal of the Death Ranger. Because the Death Ranger was on this planet looking for the Master Forge. Now, what was the Death Ranger doing there? No idea. Why are they after the Master Forge? No idea. But seeing what their goals were back in the day, I'm guessing it had something to do with that when they were still alive. But going back on the Zach and Trini relationship, I'm really enjoying it. I love seeing their interactions and their back and forth. It's a really nice thing to see. But not only that, Kevor as the new Yellow Ranger, we don't get to see them morph in this issue, but you're kind of seeing them going through the ringer of being a ranger where they get kidnapped for the first time, and they're sort of upset saying, oh, it's my first time on a big ranger mission and I get kidnapped. And Zach's like, it comes with the territory, it comes with the job, but you kind of learn from your mistakes. So I like that mentorship that they're getting from Zach and Trini. But on with the issue, because the flashback ends with them landing on the planet, and then it cuts back to the main timeline where we had Kimberly and the Stone Canyon Trio facing off against Alpha 1. So we have a couple of pages back on Earth, and I'll get these pages out of the way now so that way I'm not jumping between all the cutaways where it's like the battle in space and back to Earth and so forth and so forth. So I'll smash them out now in this bit here. So we cut back to Earth, and Tommy and Billy are having a discussion, and Tommy kind of regrets staying behind because he's unsure if Kim is able to handle whatever's out there, because if they were able to defeat the Omega Rangers, and they're the most powerful Rangers as they know, then it must be something powerful out there. But Billy reassures him, saying Kimberly's a good leader, she can handle whatever's out there. But Tommy is in no condition to fight because after what happened at the start of this arc, he's still a little bit banged up. But Billy makes note that his White Ranger powers has already began healing up Tommy's body. Now, I don't know if this is the white light or the White Ranger powers themselves, but it's an interesting note that Tommy's got powers that can heal himself, and I'm unsure if the Rangers have these special powers as well, but Tommy does have the white light, and that was kind of like the most powerful Ranger up until a point until the Omega Rangers were introduced in this comic. But Tommy and Billy have a discussion about keeping Lord Zed here, and they say that Grace is going to move him back to Promethea once he wakes up, which is something that happens in this issue. Lord Zed wakes up, and he's in no condition to fight with Zordon, and he kind of gets put away into a van near the end of this issue, going with Grace. Now, we've had a couple of Lord Zed and Grace interactions, but this will be like a proper Lord Zed and Grace interaction where Lord Zed wasn't there to fuck shit up like he did at the start of the Mighty Morphin run, when he sort of snuck into Promethea that way, or worked with Grace back in the day. I'm sure they had some kind of interaction off screen when Lord Zed put the big dome over Angel Grove, but I'm hoping we get some good, like, back and forth and some good, like, wisdom and sort of reflecting between these two characters, because some of the latest solicitations are kind of teasing that Grace is going to sort of fix up Lord Zed, which should be interesting to see, but I'm curious to see what kind of interactions Melissa is going to give Lord Zed and Grace, because we've never seen them interact properly on screen, having a good back and forth, and with the state that Lord Zed is in, I am curious to see what these two characters are going to say to each other. Now, there is a funny gag in there where Tommy says Alpha must be blowing a circuit right now, and then we cut to the next page, and we have Goldar and Squat in jail, and they're just getting fed like kings right there. And this is going to make me sound like a crazy person. I didn't notice the speech bubble that there were buckets of ice cream. I had a little joke in my head thinking that, holy shit, Alpha's given him a shit bucket and he's in jail right now. That's where my mind went to. I was like, oh cool, Goldar's got a little shit bucket in jail. That's kind of funny. But no, it's a carton of ice cream, because like Alpha's just been feeding them like kings, and they're just sort of dining out in the jail cell, which is kind of funny. It was a good gag. But then after that, we get this interesting back and forth between Tommy and Billy, where Tommy asks Billy, hey, why did you stay behind? And Billy says, I'm more useful here keeping an eye on Lord Zed and scanning for Matt or Rita, rather than out there swinging a power lance. But Tommy says, but you've been doing that more and more. Is there something you want to tell me? And Billy retorts with, is there something you want to ask me? And Tommy just goes, no, making sure we're not losing you too. And Billy says, we're more than our suits, Tommy, but I still love being a Ranger more than anything. And Tommy just apologizes, saying he doesn't know what's wrong with him. But Billy says, it's easy to focus on what we've lost instead of the good we do, but we can't give up hope because you were right. That's what's keeping us from becoming the monsters we fight. So I really love that back and forth that Billy and Tommy had in those couple of pages, because it is kind of hinting at Billy eventually stepping down when Zeo comes around and he becomes sort of like the tech guy on that team, and Rocky becomes the Blue Ranger. So it's some cool foreshadowing that Billy is going to sort of leave the team eventually. And we had this discussion near the end of the Matt Groom run, where like we had scenes where Kimberly and Billy were sort of talking about life after being a Ranger. So Melissa is sort of planting those seeds once again with these characters, and I really like that. Alright, we're almost 10 minutes into the video. Let's talk about the fight with Alpha 1, because it is a really cool fight. And once again, the artwork done by Simona in this issue is freaking amazing. They nailed it. I love it. It's freaking fantastic with the expressions, and not only that, the coloring and the lettering is great as well. So the Rangers charge in against Alpha 1, and Alpha 1 is easily bodying him. He's sort of using his tractor beam laser to sort of mess up their suits really bad. Like, there's this one shot where Rocky's getting hit, and sort of the material on his gloves is starting to tear apart, which is really cool to see. Like, it's not a cracked helmet, but it's sort of like a torn up glove, which is something you usually don't see. Well, you do see, but it's interesting that you're seeing him take that much damage, but it's tearing up the glove. You get this really sort of comedic, funny scene where Adam sort of slides in there, and he does like a nut kick to Alpha 1. I'm like, how the fuck is that going to work? He's a robot. He ain't got those. He ain't got those, Adam. That's not going to work. But then it gets even crazier, because Alpha 1 does what he did back in Go-Go, and that is sort of using all the tech around him, and he basically uses the wreckage of the Omegazord to sort of form this body for him. And then after that, he just keeps wrecking shit. And things seem pretty hopeless for our heroes until Kimberly gets a tap on the shoulder, and you see Yale charging in there with the Omegazord, and Yale just starts beating the shit out of Alpha 1, and it's pretty freaking cool. But Yale isn't strong enough, and then we get this awesome turn pager reveal where we see the Thunderzords of the 4 Rangers on the moon form together with the blue Omegazord, and we get the Omega Blue Thunder Omegazord formation. And I gotta say, it looks pretty freaking cool. I like it. I freaking love it. This design looks freaking amazing. It's so cool to see. I've always loved the Omega Ranger Zords because they're so Evangelion-like, but not only that, we get this cool combination between the Thunder Zords and the Omega Zords, so once again we get a brand new original Zord combination, and it's so cool to see. Like, I just love the pose it's in while holding the sword. That looks freaking amazing as well. Hasbro, I know you've been catching a lot of flack online with your quality control, but it's been a couple of years. Why have we not seen any Omega Ranger figures or Zap Omega Zords announced for the Omega Rangers? Please, Hasbro, do it. I'm asking nicely, please. Once you get your quality under control, maybe we can see some Omega Zords or some Omega Ranger figures later down the line. We'll talk about the quality control in a different video, maybe. I think it's been talked about to death. Everyone's talked about it. But this brand new Zord design looks freaking amazing. Like I said, I love Evangelion. I love sort of the combination it's got going on for it. It looks pretty freaking cool. But it smokes Alpha 1 with this brand new Zord combination. And all he's left is a head. And we have Trini walk up to it, and she wants some information because Alpha 1 knows some shit. And what we find out is really interesting. So we get some lore dump on this planet, like I mentioned at the start of the review, and we find out that this planet used to have a Master Forge, which was destroyed by the Morphin Masters as an act of preservation, and it's a long story, which refers to Power Rangers Universe. So it's cool that this one has ties to Power Rangers Universe. I really enjoy that. I think that's cool, that everything from each different Ranger series is tying together through each story arc, through each different comic, is all tying together into this one main story we've got going on in this current arc. I really like that. But this part confuses me down here, and I might have missed it, or I wasn't paying attention, but Trini says they came here to find the Death Ranger. And I thought that the Death Ranger was destroyed back in issue 100. I'm guessing their essence or something lived on, or somehow they got away, because the Death Ranger did say at the end of that issue, or at the end of that battle, that they'll always be watching. So are they somewhere out there in the universe, or am I not catching on to stuff, or did they survive somehow, and they're sort of living in the Morphin grid because they're sort of neither dead nor alive? Is that what's going on with them? I'm kind of confused, but I'm sure it'll make sense eventually. But Trini finds out that Alpha 1 is serving someone called Mistress Vile, and Kimberly says, yo, that's Rita. So after that, we have Zach and Keva get free from the putties, and we see the putties kind of mining down there, and it looks like they're trying to repair the Master Forge. But after that, we get this really well drawn scene where they have Alpha One's head in a fire, and Alpha One is making this big villain monologue speech saying your day will come, and once Rita finds the Navigator, everything will come to an end. But there's this one panel where they've got his head in a fire, and it's a close-up, and you can sort of see him talking in the flames, and his creepy, jagged mouth is, like, kind of moving, and you can see sort of, like, the dome and the face melting. It's really creepy, but it's also really well drawn, and whenever I see Alpha 1 talking, I picture, like, Invader Zim voices coming out of it. Like, I know Invader Zim, or Richard, voiced Alpha 1, Alpha 5, and Invader Zim, but it's the Invader Zim voice I picture or hear coming out of Alpha 1 when I read his lines, like when reading his dialogue. But after that, our heroes teleport, and we have a nice, happy reunion on the ship, and like I said, Mum Trini gives them all a hug, and I really love the dynamic of these characters already. I can't wait to see Trini later on in the arc become a full-blown leader, and see her call the shots. That's going to be really freaking cool. I'm really excited to see that. But Zack reveals that they found a special artifact, and Eleven tells him that that's an ancient Morphin Grid navigator, which is probably what Rita was looking for, but the Rangers have it. So, 11 says, it's a device used by the Morphin Master to tune the arch to a specific coordination within the Morphin Grid. So, Rita wants that for something, but seeing how Dark Spectre is coming, you can kind of guess what that's for and how it ties into the Power Rangers universe stuff that's going on. But we also find out that Alpha 1 is tracking their location because of him fusing with the Omegazord. So he's following them, and he's back, he's fully regenerated, which is something he does say in his big villain speech, saying he can keep coming back again and again with what Mistress Vile has done to him. But you have this scene where he's talking to Rita at the end and the vessel is watching. So that's where it ends off at. So once again, like I said, this issue did kind of feel like a closing act for everything going on. And then in issue 106, things are going to keep getting crazy and crazier as we kick things off into high gear with that cover, because that cover looks freaking crazy. But anyway, guys, I really enjoyed this issue. I really enjoyed the interactions and the dialogue between the characters, and not only that, seeing the brand new Zord formations. I'm really excited to see what Melissa is going to do with this story arc, because from what I've heard through rumblings on the internet, we're getting another sort of special event this year called Darkest Hour. It hasn't officially been announced. We'll probably get the press releases either this weekend or next month, but when it happens, I'll definitely be talking about it on the channel once we get that official reveal. So with that said, I think I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Also, tell me what you thought of this issue. Love it, hate it. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care. Bye.